Greetings to all fans of the digital circus. Welcome to our channel, where we dive into the deepest and most mysterious theories about this amazing show. Are you ready to embark on a journey through the hidden meanings and secrets of the digital circus? Then let's get started. I like to put forth preliminary theories for shows like this, and my theory is that the circus is a kind of representation of escapism and/or maladaptive daydreaming. 1. There is a hell of a lot of religious symbolism, possibly suggesting that the circus is supposed to be a paradise, though it has hidden hellish elements. For example, Cain being portrayed as a god, and the fact that he seems to genuinely not understand why anyone would want to leave. On the other hand, his name refers to Abel's brother, who was cursed by God for his jealous rage. Not only that, but the overall upbeat tone contrasts with the brief mental breakdowns when they return to reality. 2. Reality is often blurred. The characters are real people, but it's implied that boundaries are easily blurred, such as in the fact that Pomni becomes attached to a character who was never real to begin with, or in the fact that Cain hints it can be hard to distinguish true characters from NPCs. 3. Anecdotally, the fact that everyone seems to have a different vision of how adventure should play out. Jax wants action and violence, Ragatha just wants something stimulating, and Pomni wants something comforting. The fact that Jax gets upset when his vision isn't realized is very similar to the disappointments of maladaptive daydreaming. 4. Glitches and the video game setting overall. IDK if it's just me, but in maladaptive daydreaming, it's very easy for the mind to wander or get confused, causing a glitch in the story which I think is very similar to the glitches in the show. 5. The concept of VR itself is a step towards active escapism, and although it's a bit of a stretch, I think the fact that the characters can't take off their headsets refers to their unwillingness to live in reality rather than being forced to stay. 6. Character behavior. The way Pomni goes from being extremely weirded out to accepting and even slightly enjoying the circus is very reminiscent of how you feel when you first start maladaptive daydreaming, as it's a totally weird thing. But once you get into it, it turns out to be fun and you keep doing it for hours. Ragatha is interesting because she seems to ignore reality in favor of staying sane. Even ignoring destructive truths, she understands as she quickly recovers from her mental breaks, which is largely what maladaptive daydreaming is. 7. The exit. When Pomni reaches the exit and sees the table set with the headset, she started losing her mind. And instead of moving forward to the next door, she started going back, I think. I think this was her instant recollection of feeling like nothing in real life. But in the circus, she could be the main hero. I think she struggled with feeling like nothing in real life because of how much she brings up this point and empathizes with Gangle, probably feeling like an NPC in real life. Though either way, she leaves the scene, likely not wanting to remember what her life was like before. 8. Abstraction. Since we haven't seen much of it, I'm still not entirely sure, but if I had to guess, I think abstraction is when you completely detach yourself from reality and live in dreams full-time, as abstraction means the quality of dealing with ideas rather than events, which is largely what escapism is. I think abstraction is likely a state of total delusion, which the show hints at by saying people who abstract are insane. Overall, I think the digital circus is probably tied to either escapism in general or a commentary on how we distract ourselves from serious issues as if we were children, shielding ourselves from real life. Maybe the circus also symbolizes the inner world of each character, where they can be anyone and do anything without fear of judgment or failure. It's a place where they can experience freedom and self-expression that's unavailable to them in the real world, but such freedom comes at the cost of losing touch with reality and possibly even with themselves. What do you think? Could this be another level of allegory in the show? What other elements would you add or delve deeper into in this theory? You guys remember that face Cain made when he was talking about mixing NPCs and people? What do you think that implied? Was it a red herring or a hint at something else? Because I have two things going on in my head. Firstly, and most obviously, I think some of the actors are disguised NPCs. I first realized that Jax, Pomni, and Ragatha sound like real names, Jack or just Jax, Penny, and Agatha, whereas Gangle and Zooble do not, unless there are similar names in other countries that I don't know about. Then I remembered Kinger exists, and if Kinger is an NPC, I won't recover. The thought that Zooble might be an NPC seems likely to me for several reasons. Reason 1. Zooble's refusal to go on Cain's adventure. I doubt an NPC would want to go anywhere in a fake world after finding out who you are. Secondly, Zooble, in my opinion, stands out significantly from the rest of the cast. She looks like she doesn't belong among the other circus members. I can't find a description for how the rest of the cast looks besides neatly, whereas Zubli is just a bunch of objects in assortment. It looks like she belonged to another world and ended up there. Though maybe it's just a cool character design, and I'm an idiot. Overall, Zubul seems out of place, but it could just be because it's the first episode. My second thought that stuck in my head is that Kane himself is a human and just forgot about it after being there for so long. While maybe it's not as consistent and lacks as much supporting evidence as the previous one, it still exists. Perhaps Kane worked at the company that created the circus, was brought there for the first run, but never left. If he was the first ringleader, maybe he was given the host's commands, explaining why he's the ringmaster, like the leader of the party. In my sleepless fever dream of the mind, this led me to another conclusion. If people existed for so long, why wasn't the game finished? Why didn't people from the outside help? Here's where my incompetence shows, because due to Kane actually being human, I got the idea that maybe the circus project was abandoned, which is why the game itself is so unfinished. People abstract, there's no way out, and things so easily appear and disappear from the world. After Kane, they just said, "Oh hell, let's not work on this anymore." But people still end up finding their way in. I also had an idea, since my boyfriend keeps trying to insert random numbers into this paragraph, that maybe they queued up too many test subjects. Every time someone abstracts, the next person in line joins but doesn't remember waiting. There's one thing about Pomni working at the company that created Tag Plus 8, and since I'm not very good at the theory and canonical stuff, I've watched maybe 2 episodes, seen a couple of funny posts, but the place looks rundown, abandoned. What self-respecting office space allows papers to clutter the floor? Or a dusty, moldy computer? It looks like the company abandoned the workplace, the project, everything. Maybe Pomni was put in some kind of queue, waiting for a free spot in the game. Kaufmo, RIP. Another tangent. I saw something mentioning that Tedsi was inspired by the song Have No Mouth, and I must scream. While I don't know how true that is, it makes me wonder what the ending for Pomni will be. Will she eventually save the others from the digital hell, but get stuck there forever in return? Will she become Kane, or get stuck with him to live in eternity? Besides, it's 100% going to be a problem. Just look at them all so cold. Thank you for joining us on this fascinating exploration of the digital circus. If you enjoyed the video, don't forget to like and subscribe so you don't miss new theories and analyses. What are your thoughts on today's theory? Write in the comments. See you next time in our next video. Bonus theory, the digital circus, and the concept of rebirth, and new beginnings. Throughout the series, we see characters undergoing significant changes and transformations. This can be interpreted as a form of rebirth. For instance, when a character like Pomni enters the circus, she effectively leaves her old life behind and starts anew in this bizarre digital world. This transition can be seen as a metaphor for rebirth, leaving behind one life and beginning a new one. Digital reincarnation. Another aspect of this theory is the concept of digital reincarnation. The characters might not just experience a one-time rebirth, but could be part of a cycle where they are continually rebooted into the circus after certain events, like abstraction. This would mean that each major event or mental breakdown is a form of death, followed by rebirth, where the character starts again without remembering their previous incarnations.